This is the calm 10 years after the storm, Superstorm Sandy. It was the worst storm in New Jersey history to make direct landfall to our shoreline on October 29th, 2012.
10 years, it feels as though it was yesterday in a way, when the storm hit and everything surrounding it.
What surrounded it was the Bayshore area and down through the coastal communities of Monmouth County, where Sandy left her mark through a path of destruction.
We were driving around hot water heaters, sofas, windows, pieces of roofs. You know, people always say they think of it as a war zone. It was definitely, it looked like. If I was in it, I would be like, oh, this is what it was.
Gigi Laguno Doors restaurant Jacobob's in Union Beach was a staple in town for years, and truly the place where everybody did know your name. That's until Sandy came barreling in and swept it all away.
It was just like a debris of everything. Like there was no rhyme or it was just everything everywhere. So it was completely washed away.
What wasn't washed away for Gigi and so many others who lost their homes or businesses in Monmouth County was help before, during, and after Sandy wreaked havoc.
I am proud of the fact that in Monmouth County, we had 0 deaths. So all of the rescues that were occurring, particularly in Belmar and Union Beach and Manasquan, we were able to successfully rescue all those individuals through the combined efforts of all the first responders, OEM coordinators, and everyday heroes that were residents or neighbors.
Monmouth County Sheriff Sean Golden oversees the Office of Emergency Management, which played a major role in response and recovery countywide.
I remember in our 911 center here in the Sheriff's Office, we processed over 8,000 calls in a 24-hour period. I mean, think about that number and those calls for help during that 24-hour period of Sandy. And a lot had to do with the 13 to 14-foot storm surge along the map that you're looking at.
Well, it's very stressful because a lot of the times people were trapped or needed assistance and help was far out. So, you know, first responders, until conditions were safe, couldn't respond. So it was, you know, very stressful for them with dealing with them and trying to reassure them that, you know, we're trying the best we can to get them assistance, their power restored and roads open so they can get back to their house.
Sandy resulted in fierce winds and record storm surge. The superstorm lifted homes off of foundations, swept cars and boats away, blew boardwalks apart, created total beachfront devastation, and uprooted trees, which caused massive power outages. While some scars remain, a lot has changed in 10 years. Most importantly, where Monmouth County emergency operations were then and now.
I'll tell you where we weren't, and that is in our new operations center here for Monmouth County. We wish we had it during Superstorm Sandy. We went through hours and days and then weeks in our old emergency operations center and our old 911 center. We certainly have come a long way in 10 years with regard to the upgrades of technology and operational planning. Planning that is on the books.
During Sandy, Monmouth County was met with one challenge after another.
Rebuilding and recovery was probably the toughest part.
Getting resources was a work in progress as well. But Monmouth County OEM coordinator Mike Opegard and his staff got it done.
You know, Monmouth County's a big county. We have a lot of resources. But when you have a magnitude of a storm like that, 15 feet of storm surge up in Union Beach, and the winds and the damage and the destruction that was left on the roadways hampering the response to get back into the areas, it was certainly a challenge for us.
A donation center was set up at Thompson Park, and the basic necessities were sent to 3 key distribution sites, one in the Bayshore area, one in Monmouth Park, and one in Peddlers Village.
That's where all of the supplies would be delivered.
There was also this major shelter operation set up at Monmouth University.
If you can say a picture is worth 1,000 words during the storm, this would be one of them.
We sheltered about 2,300 people during Sandy. And out of those 2,300, the majority of them were seniors. We wanted to come up with a way that we could communicate and better prepare our seniors.
And that's why Seniors Taking on Readiness Measures, also known as STORM, was developed by OEM. Since Sandy, thousands of seniors have received help with creating a disaster plan and been provided with an emergency storm kit. Shortly after storm, OEM implemented Know Your Zone.
Sandy, our message was, hey, if you ever flooded before or you live in a flood zone, we want you to evacuate. We talked about 200,000 people that really fit that role. And we can't sustain that in shelters and providing assistance for them. So we went back, created Know Your Zone. which now is a 4-tiered system. So based on the forecast and storm surge, we're only asking those people that are at greatest risk to leave.
You'll see these Know Your Zone signs posted all over the county. You can go to our website, mcsonj.org, Know Your Zone, and you type in your address and it will tell you zone A, B, C, or D. And that coincides with the map that all of the emergency management coordinators have at their fingertips. They all know the zones.
Also implemented was the High Water Mark Initiative.
It reminds our residents of where that watermark was during Sandy, particularly during the tidal surge that we had, the storm surge. And so you can see how much damage and everything that was caused, and the way flood insurance is enacted, and that's based in part on some of the flood zone and the mappings and the high watermark initiatives.
That's something that may come in very handy if Gigi were to ever deal with a massive storm again. Even so, she's not taking any chances. If another storm were to head this way, she and Jacob Bobbs will be jumping ship with a vengeance.
With this mobile kitchen, the mobile bathrooms, the mobile walk-in boxes, if something happens, I know I can disconnect and go someplace else. The deck may not survive, but we can build that. The kitchen, the heart of the soul, we can bring that back.
Here in Monmouth County, so much has been brought back through the hard work of OEM, first responders, county officials, and of course, everyday heroes who assisted in the rebuild.
Tremendous amount of devastation, but a tremendous amount of human spirit we saw, and very kind neighbors in the county. And I think that's what makes Monmouth County so great. You know, some of these pictures are a lot of county efforts put in. You see high school kids that were coming to clean up. You know, they were off from school and they were coming to clean up. Their high school kids were volunteering at churches and nonprofit groups to deliver food and cook meals. It was really a tremendous effort by all of our residents, and it's something that we'll never, ever forget.